Hey everyone, I'm Bob Lutz, sports columnist, Wichita Eagle. Paul Suellentrop on my far left, the beat writer for Wichita State, and our sports editor Kirk Seminoff. We're going to break down the NCAA tournament bracket a little bit. We'll start with the shockers, and Kentucky Schmentucky is what I say.
Well, first of all, nobody's giving Kansas State a chance to beat Kentucky. That's what if I'm a Kansas State fan, I feel disrespected to the utmost.
Yeah, they've just gotten totally overlooked, which is really interesting coming from strong conferences they have, and have some nice wins. But I think everybody's just writing Kentucky into that game.
Yeah, normally you would have had the big story of the day being a potential meeting of K-State and Wichita State, and anybody other than Kentucky, that would be the big story of the day. But I think hearing the name Kentucky and everything that's associated with it in college basketball simply drowns out everything else. It's all about Kentucky. Even though that team's been very up and down all season long, all you can think about is the national championships they have, the youth on this team, and the way they battled tooth and nail yesterday with Florida.
And apparently this is what the Shockers wanted in the Champions Club yesterday. There was quite a reaction when they saw the Kentucky line come up. So they've wanted this challenge. Everybody knows they're going to get this challenge, and they get a big name to start with, most likely.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of Kentucky. They're a team that lost to South Carolina, which I think everybody agrees is a pretty bad basketball team on March 1st. But then they played well in the SEC tournament and had a chance to beat Florida. And I think the interesting thing about this whole tournament will be how do teams react to Wichita State? Can John Calipari convince his guys to really take the Shockers seriously? Should they meet? I think that would be less of a problem with Kansas State just because they've kind of lived in Wichita State's shadow to a little bit this season.
I think one of the underlying stories in the Midwest is Louisville with the number 4 seed. Everybody pretty surprised by that. The good news for Louisville is if the Cardinals get to the Midwest Regional in Indianapolis, they're 90 miles from home and a huge home court advantage in Indy potentially.
Yeah, Wichita State got no favor there. It's hard to understand. But it's going to happen, and I think it's a draw that Wichita State could have some problems with. This seems to be a situation where if they can get through the first weekend, everybody's at least happy to get there and they're legitimize themselves. But that seems to be the one that would be the big problem.
Yeah, I think the geographic aspect is maybe more interesting or concerning from Wichita State's standpoint than the ability of the teams. They're very close to Kentucky. If you were in the NCAA selection room, I'd wonder if they considered moving an 8 seed farther away. That didn't seem to penalize Kentucky geographically at all. They were rewarded pretty well just for being an 8 seed. And then obviously Louisville, they got a great break in that, if they make it to the second weekend playing, I think it's 114 miles from the city of Louisville to Indianapolis. So I think that's an interesting part of this whole thing. Wichita State geographically didn't get a whole lot of help.
And it was never going to be easy for the Shockers. I think most Shocker fans are excited about this. Now there's grumbling that they were mistreated. Charles Barkley got on the air last night and said that Wichita State, that the committee was basically out to get Wichita State. I don't see that. It's a tough draw. It's no question about it, a tough draw. Michigan's in that draw too. A lot of other really good teams. 3 of the past 4 national champions are in the Midwest region and directly in Wichita State's path. But this team's risen above for so long now. Don't count them out, right?
No, you don't count them out. And you look at the other 4 seeds. Michigan State's a 4 seed. You wouldn't want them in your bracket any more than you want Louisville. San Diego State's faltered a little bit lately, but it's another really good team. So Wichita State has always had the attitude, whether it's a tough schedule or not, we'll take on all comers, and they're going to get them.
Yeah, I think this is what we've been waiting for, to see Wichita State plays these kind of teams. And once you get past that first game for a number 1 seed, most of your opponents are going to be pretty difficult.
Kansas State, can they beat Kentucky? I think everybody has that as a really close game. I don't know of anybody that's picking K-State, but I think out of respect, they're saying it's a close game. I'm still kind of mystified by this whole Kentucky aura, but Kansas State drew Kentucky right out of the chute. Do you like their chances at all?
The thing to like about Kansas State is they have some experience, and they have Thomas Gibson in the middle, who will be a lot smaller, actually, than a lot of Kentucky's big guys. So that poses a little bit of a problem. But there is more experience on the K-State side. I guess that's the one thing going for them.
I would guess keeping Thomas Gibson out of foul trouble is maybe going to be their biggest thing. He has to be in there for a good chunk of that game for them to have a chance, I would think.
And no Joel Embiid most likely in the first and second rounds, or second and third rounds as the NCAA calls it. But KU looks to me like if they can find any consistency whatsoever, and that's been hard for them defined all season long, that they have, easy's the wrong word, but maybe the least challenging draw of the three schools that we cover.
Certainly favorable. That in the second game they'd probably play New Mexico, or it could be Stanford, but they've already beaten New Mexico by 17. Now that was with Embiid, so this would figure to be a little bit closer, but certainly nobody they can't handle.
Yeah, I would agree. Although Syracuse potential matchup with them would be interesting. You never know how players who haven't been through it a lot are going to handle that Syracuse zone.
And then you've got Florida also in the South region playing close to home all the way through, so they're in pretty good shape. Who do you like? Who do you like in your Final Four? Either of you guys even gotten to that point yet where you picked it?
I haven't even really gotten that
all
far.
number one seeds, Paul?
Yeah, let's just go all number one seeds and make it make it easy. I think Florida is my overall favorite. I just think they're really good. They've got the experience and a lot of good things. As for the other four spots, I could see a lot of different things happening.
With my bracket, I always try to do something fun, and I'm going to call my shot now. Call it a Creighton-Wichita State semifinal.
There you go.
I think Creighton has a pretty decent road to the West Final, and let's just say they both get there, and I think the world would explode at that point.
That would be something, and then KU in the championship game.
Go for it.
Why not? We're living in a fantasy world anyway. I'm going to say that Michigan State's my dark horse. I think they got some of their demons out yesterday in that Big Ten championship game. Everybody's been talking all year about, oh boy, when they get healthy, they seem to be healthy. We know they thrive in this setting in March, so I think I'm going to end up probably picking Michigan State to win it all.
I could see that, and Izzo is known as a great second game coach every weekend, so that obviously helps you as you get farther along.
All right, we got a bunch of people headed over to St. Louis later in the week for the big tournament, and we'll see you from there.